Juna is required to do her chores before going out on Saturday. This has been established and generally speaking goes well. Today, however, after Juna has left, her father notices that the chores were done poorly or not at all. When Juna comes home, her father greets her and raises his concerns. Dad, Juna, what happened with your chores today? Your room isn't picked up, the vacuuming isn't done, and while it looks like the bathroom was gone over, it is far from clean. Juna, okay, I'll do it now. Dad, thanks, but I'd like to understand what happened. You know the expectation and you usually manage it so well. What happened today? Juna, well, I slept until 10 and I was supposed to meet everyone at 11. I knew they'd be going off and I wouldn't be able to catch up with them. I was going to do it better when I got back. Dad, I understand. I expect you to ask first, though, if you're going to change the arrangement. Juna, so what should I do if you and Mom are out like you were this morning? I would have missed my friend. Dad, that's a good question. If you're going to make your own judgment call and you believe it's a situation where we would say yes, leave us a note and call in or text us when you get a chance. Juna, sure, okay. In this case, Juna's dad is pretty confident that Juna understands how to handle the situation and will follow the protocol. Unless things were to continue poorly, he saw no reason to withdraw a privilege. In his communication with Juna, he holds her accountable for her responsibility, tying them into her quest for independence. He does this in a respectful manner, and you might be surprised how reasonable a kid can be when treated with respect while held to accountability. Let's look at the situation with Juna again. If responsibility had been the only issue and that Juna was not accountable, the conversation would have gone very differently. Dad, Juna, what happened with your chores today? Your room isn't picked up, the vacuuming isn't done, and while it looks like the bathroom was gone over, it is far from clean. Juna, I'm going to do it later. Dad, I'm glad you're thinking about it, but I'd like to understand what happened. You know the rule. The chores get done before you go out, and you've always been good about it. What happened today? Juna, what's the difference? As long as it gets done, I take care of my responsibility. Dad, your mom and I want the house picked up before the weekend gets going so that we can enjoy the rest of the weekend. Juna, that's what you and Mom want, but I do things differently. Sound familiar? Many parents will be swayed by this argument. They will see the merit in what Juna is saying, and in fact, she does have a good point. If she manages her responsibility, perhaps she should be able to decide when and how she does them. That's simply not how life works, however. In school, the teacher decides when the assignment is due, not the student. At work, whether or not we agree with our boss, we need to meet their requirement. Accountability to authority is a critical life skill. Even though Juna may have a reasonable argument, it must be negotiated within the context of accountability. What does that mean? Well, it means that the teenager exhibits a positive attitude, an attitude of respect toward the person to whom she's accountable, and accept that person's decision whether or not she agrees with it. Losing a specific privilege or all privileges. When a teen is in control battle with the parent, there is a lack of accountability to the parent, and sometimes it will require a dramatic loss of all privileges to get the teen's attention and a push restart. Otherwise, losing one privilege and then another can feel very much like an escalating war. Let's think about it. A cell phone, recreational use of the internet, video games, going out with friends, use of a car, and access to pocket money are all privileges that are reasonably granted when teens are managing their primary responsibility and being respectful and accountable to their parents. So if there is a major breach in the areas sense of responsibility and accountability. None of those privileges are appropriate and all of them should be revoked. If, on the other hand, a teen is not managing a responsibility that goes along with a specific privilege, but it is otherwise responsible and accountable, then only that privilege should be rescinded. In the earlier example, Juna might lose the privilege of going downtown after school. However, if she became oppositional and decided to sneak downtown or displayed a negative attitude and her schoolwork continued to decline, then a total loss of privileges would become necessary. When Carlos borrows the car, he returns it dirty, cluttered with fast food bags filled with leftovers. After talking with Carlos, his parents have noticed the behavior hadn't changed much. Yet Carlos is doing well in school, is playing sports, is always home on time, and is finishing his college application. It's pretty simple, no more car use for Carlos. And how might Carlos regain the privilege of using the car? He can apologize and acknowledge the value of taking care of things, returning borrowed possessions in excellent condition, and is showing gratitude for the things he receives. Also, he can detail the car as a way of making amend, demonstrating a commitment to those values, and thus re-earning the privilege of using the car.